Welcome to American Education FM, everybody. I'm Dr. Sean Brooks. Okay, welcome everybody. I want to very quickly dip back to a quick little audio clip that I played on Friday's episode toward the end, and it was a male teacher at a board meeting describing what turned out to be the BrainPop computer program that exists in countless elementary schools and middle schools, and students are on this particular program constantly. It was a program that I myself used back in the day when BrainPop first was created. I stopped using it after a long while, but it's without a doubt filled with indoctrination tactics and false information and propaganda and you name it. And they've gone off the deep end, without a doubt. And I noticed this more specifically last August. When I was homeschooling my niece and nephew, I quickly saw this program and how far left it had gone and how radical it had become. The propaganda on the entire program is just absolutely thick. And countless teachers will plop their students in front of these programs, this very particular BrainPop program, and have them watch it over and over and over again and answer countless questions. So it turns out that little media clip that I played of the teacher, male teacher talking at the board meeting, he was specifically talking about BrainPop. So I have found the full video in its full context, and I'm going to play that right now. So give this a listen.
I'm actually a teacher in this district. I'm going to wind up showing you something that's about that. I didn't know she was coming. The program BrainPop that the kids spend hours listening to is actually already teaching our kids in our district what she's talking about, as well as telling them about critical race theory. I recorded the video from BrainPop's official Instagram page. Hope you can hear it.
Racism in our society. A built-in system of bias that makes life easier for white people and more difficult for Black people and other people of color. It puts them at greater risk for poverty, unemployment, and disease. Structural racism is a factor in some disturbing trends. Black people are nearly 6 times more likely than whites to be imprisoned, and Black men are killed by police at more than twice the rate of white men.
All right, so that's the first video. They're telling our kids, they're telling our Black children that they are oppressed by white people and that it's in the system, so they don't have a chance, and that our good policemen are more apt to shoot a Black man or a Black woman, which is ridiculous. The next video I'm going to show you.
2 robots like use a plural.
They're teaching incorrect grammar to give a kid whatever gender pronoun they want. Psychology tells you that when you're talking about sexuality with kids, their brains are not developed. You have to raise a child, you rear a child. They don't know about sexuality. When an adult pushes some ideas upon them, it winds up grooming them to believe whatever the adult tells them. So this is the video by BrainPop that our kids are spending hours in front of. This is what they're telling them about the pronouns. And ACT already gave the kids the opportunity to choose their own gender when they took the ACT. I got pictures of the forms.
Like Moby and Orbot, they are my best friends. Actually, yeah, they can be used as a singular pronoun too. Like if you said, I'm going to see my friend, I could ask, where do they live? Since I don't know your friend's gender identity. And some individuals prefer they as a pronoun. Like meet Orbot, they are my best friend.
We got kids that can't read and write, and then we're going to teach them incorrect grammar. I mean, it's ridiculous, okay? Who gave permission to talk about this? There's 2 genders. If you're born with a and you have testicles, that's just anatomy. You're a male. If you have a vagina, you're a female. A man cannot menstruate. A man cannot lactate and breastfeed a child. You cannot give birth if you're a man. If you want to be an adult and do whatever you want with your life, I'm okay with that. Don't push this ideology on children. I'm not going to work in a district that's okay with that. You need to make a clear statement on how many genders are there, because parents they're already pulling their kids out of public school. They're doing homeschool options. They're going online. It's going to increase as this liberal ideology comes into our schools. This isn't a political indoctrination camp, okay? It's public education. We want to teach education, not left-wing ideas that aren't backed up by facts or science. Thank you.
And then he was shot in the parking lot, and now he's dead. I'm kidding. I'm only kidding. It was 100% accurate, everything that he said, like I said in Friday's episode. Again, it takes an awful lot of courage for a teacher to get up there and do that kind of thing. I hope that he has the support of his colleagues in the administration, because again, if he doesn't, he's toast. But he's right about BrainPop. It's complete trash now. It didn't. I'm telling you again, from somebody who used to use it right at its very inception, many, many, many years ago. It was not that way, but now it is. It's 100% a total propaganda tool, and it's being utilized by countless middle school and elementary school teachers all over the place, and it's too bad. So there's that. The next thing here comes from WISTV.com. Looks like Columbia, South Carolina's local news station, if I had to take a guess. But it's this particular article is titled, South Carolina Health School Leaders, quote, stay the course despite governor's calls to lift mask orders. So it says, quote, South Carolina's top public health officials says there are positive signs for South Carolina's fight against COVID-19, but it's not time to take masks off just yet. Well, of course it isn't. Got to keep the slavery going. It continues, speaking with reporters Wednesday, Governor Henry McMaster called on local cities and municipalities with mask ordinances to lift them. Quote, it's time to wrap this up, or I will do it for them, the governor tweeted. He also called on schools to stop requiring students to wear masks in class. Quote, it is ridiculous for school districts to tell parents whether or not their child should wear a mask in the classroom. That is up to the parent, unquote, McMaster posted. Department of Health and Environmental Control Director Dr. Edward Simmer said he respects that the governor needs to consider many issues when making policy decisions such as public opinion, but his agency recommends the state continue to follow the CDC guidance on mask wearing. Simmer said the state's percent positive is still hovering between 5 and 6%, which he calls very concerning. Oh, this is just awful, and it's very long, too. Okay, I'm pretty much going to stop it there. We know how corrupt all of this is at this point. We know how bad it has been and how bad it's going to get in the future here. Because as these mask mandates, which never should have been in place in the first place, as even the South Carolina governor has said, calling them absurd and unreasonable, quote unquote, the next thing is going to be the shot. That's going to be the next thing, and I've said it in past episodes, but the next thing that they're going to push on children and families is the experimental shot. That's paralyzing people and killing people. That's the next thing. So, again, if the masks weren't enough reason to pull a child out of school, hopefully individuals will maybe screw their heads on correctly and have some common sense and say, well, we don't need this experimental jab in order for our child to return to school, or we'll just homeschool them or put them somewhere else in another virtual school or a private school or a charter school that doesn't mandate such abuses. And I'll tell you what, I think that's going to be an even bigger legal battle that's going to take place, is whether or not schools can actually legally mandate these experimental jabs that aren't FDA approved in the future. So like I've said in the past too, and written about in the past, is that when the cat is away, the mice will play on this one. And over the summer, when the teachers are gone and the administrators are around and they're meddling and scheming behind the scenes, they're going to be working with state officials to make this mandatory within countless districts across the United States. And then again, I personally think the legal blowback and the public blowback is going to be massive. And hopefully so. But unfortunately, there will be casualties, as there are in any conflict, and there certainly will be here. So keep your eyes peeled for that, and I hope you make a logical decision to not inject yourself with such things, let alone pump them into your children, just so that you can return to the same place where they're still going to have to wear masks. Because, by the way, that's one of the really sadistic things about all of this, is that more and more groups and more companies are now coming out and openly saying, yeah, we don't care if you have a vaccine, quote unquote, or a vaccine card, quote unquote, you're still going to have to wear a mask. Well, they're going to make children do the exact same thing too. And it's just awful. It's absolutely awful. So you just don't let them. That's basically it. Don't let them do that. And don't follow along with it. Pretty simple. Now, there's two more things here that I want to go over, and this one comes from Breitbart, Joe Pollack over at Breitbart, and it's titled, Follow the Science. Documents suggest Biden let teachers' union shape CDC school reopening policy. Again, this shouldn't surprise anybody, because these agencies and these people and these institutions don't operate independently. They all talk to one another behind closed doors, and that's it. And they do it in an effort to simply control people. So it starts off here, quote, newly released documents suggest that one of the country's most powerful teachers' unions shaped Biden administration policies on the reopening of schools despite President Joe Biden's pledge to follow the science, quote unquote, on pandemic policy. The documents obtained by the conservative group Americans for Public Trust through a Freedom of Information Act request were reported Saturday by the New York Post. They show the American Federation of Teachers, AFT, lobbying the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention and succeeding in having some of their recommendations adopted. The teachers' unions had long opposed a rapid reopening of schools because they don't want to go back to work, even when science said there was no significant risk. The Los Angeles Teachers Union also claimed that a statewide school reopening plan would reinforce structural racism. Oh my, these people. What are they going to blame next? The Post reported, quote, the powerful teachers union full court press preceded the federal agency putting the brakes on a full reopening of in-person classrooms. Emails between top CDC, AFT, and White House officials show. The documents show a flurry of activity between CDC Director Dr. Rochelle Walensky, her top advisors, and union officials, with Biden brass being looped in at the White House in the days before the highly anticipated February 12th announcement on school reopening guidelines. Dr. Monica Gandhi, if I'm saying that right, a professor of medicine at the University of California, San Francisco, who has written extensively on coronavirus, called the CDC AFT emails very, very troubling. What seems strange to me here is there would be this very intimate back and forth, including phone calls where the political groups get to help formulate scientific guidance for our major public health organization in the United States. Gandhi told the Post, quote, this is not how science-based guidelines should work or be put together, unquote. You don't say. It's never been about actual science. It's about this fake person that they refer to as science. Maybe I'm sure lots of people have known that or figured that out, that over the course of this last year of our lives, people are using the word science like it's someone's name. Well, science says. Science just said. Have you talked to science? Have you asked science? Think about that. Think about that word manipulation. It's not about actual science, the actual scientific method. That's not something that's even taught in school anymore, let alone practiced in the everyday lives of human beings. We can't have that. Can't allow people to do that because they'll arrive at the truth. But this made-up person named science apparently exists, when really it's just politicians. It's politicians scheming behind the scenes. That's all it is. That shouldn't shock anybody. But unfortunately, that concept is very new to a lot of people. And it's too bad, because they'd better wake up. Okay, here's the last thing. I'm going to link this last thing in the description below so that you can print it out if you're interested. This is takeactionforfreedom.com, and these are called vaccine flyers, spelled VAKSEEN, for kids and adults. It says these PDFs are formatted to print on a single page. These PDFs are formatted to print 2 per page. Use side-by-side PDF to print both flyers on a full page, use double flyer to print 2 half-page flyers, and 2-sided flyers. So they have, let's see, 6, 7. They have 7 different flyers here that are designed to, again, encourage individuals to not take the jab. And they have QR codes on them, which is pretty cool. And you can print them off. They have a side-by-side, a nope double flyer. It says, just say nope to the poke. And then there's a list of questions that you should ask yourself, again, with a QR code that takes you to another website. There's a COVID double flyer. It says COVID has a 98.98% survival rate. Young people will not die or kill others, but the vaccine will cause long-term side effects. Get answers. And then lots of different questions and more websites on those. So basically, you can pin them up places if you want. You can stick them, tape them on the sides of mailboxes. You put them in the windshields of cars, whatever you want to do. If that's something that you're interested in, or you just want to take them to a school and I don't know, litter a school with them, I suppose you could do that. They'll get torn down, I'm certain of that, and then go headhunting as to figure out who exactly was responsible for doing it. But again, on all of these, well, all but two of these posters and flyers here have QR codes. So somebody can just scan it with their phone, and then again, it'll take them to a website. But there you go. I'm going to link that in the description below, and I'll catch you Wednesday. Thank you for listening to American Education FM. Make sure and check out AmericanEducationFM.com for more information. Take care, and God bless.